after so much hostility between both groups, it's time to speak about something which will bring us back together as we celebrate this Earth Day together. So welcome, bienvenue, welcome, and bienvenue. First, I want to start with a story, which is the capstone of why I titled my speech "The Language of Solidarity." I was working at Giant Food over the winter break, and as I was working in the deli session, there was a gentleman who came by and ordered some sandwich and some meat. So I greeted him and said, "Hello, sir," and he replied back, "How are you?" And he wasn't being very happy about, I guess, being there, I guess. So knowing me, I continued to speak to him and say, how's your day going? He responded fine and just left it like that. And most of the time, when somebody want to continue the conversation, they will ask you how you are doing. But he wasn't showing those signs as well. But knowing me, I love to talk. Regardless of if you tell me, you're doing fine, regardless of the way that you respond. So I went ahead and say, asking again how his day was. And as we were starting to talk, I noticed that he had a World War II hat. So I asked him if he fought in the army, and I saw the pin on his head. So he told me that yes, that he was stationed in Germany, fought a couple of wars as well. And also, for the little German that I know, I said "Wie geht's" to him, which means "How are you?" I don't know that much German, but that's the only one, words that I know. So when I said "Wie geht's" to him, I'm telling you that I couldn't recognize this man who did not want to speak to me anymore. As soon as I said "Wie geht's" to him, he started to speak to me in German. I was like, no, I don't speak that much German. I only know "Wie geht's." So then he called me over on the other side, and then asked me which school I was going to, what was my major. And as I was answering him back, I couldn't believe that this one, how are you in that German language, related us to some extent. So I know that Earth Day is an event when we talk about going green and the energy and the natural resources. But today I'm here to talk about something a little bit different, which is the language of solidarity, something which I think will bring all of us together as well. So again, I'm here to talk about the language of solidarity. The language of solidarity does not only apply to me, it applies to you, Dr. Ike, it applies to you, Patrick, and it applies to all of us as well. So just as, I didn't know much about Mr. Robert, that's his name, I think that learning and applying the language of solidarity will raise awareness about other people in other cultures as well, and increase the amount of collaboration that we can have in our communities, all of which are essentials on building a safer world and a way to encourage more people to care for the environment as well. So just as I didn't know much about Mr. Robert, if we don't apply the language of solidarity, we will know less about other people in our communities. Before I asked Mr. Robert "Wie geht's" how he's doing in German, I didn't know anything about Mr. Robert, rather than he came to Giant and brought his sandwich. But after I asked him and applied the language of solidarity, he started to speak back to me, and I asked him about his years in the army, and then we got to speak, and the conversation continued, and then I knew more about him, and he also knew more about me. So if we don't apply the language of solidarity, we'll have more misunderstandings among us. We'll also not have many solutions in the world, and there will be longer conflicts if we do not apply the language of solidarity. There will be more hate, and there will also be more crimes across cultures as well if we do not apply the language of solidarity. It is for these reasons and many more why I encourage everyone to practice the language of solidarity. In order to prevent a lot of those crimes, which will lead to more understanding, more cultural awareness, peaceful and longer solutions to conflicts, which will reduce the number of casualties in our world. Environmental crisis will also reduce for our generations and for future ones, certainly, if we do apply the language of solidarity. The language of solidarity, I discovered through this micro example at the Giant store, is a solution. It's not the solution, but it's one of the solutions which can help us to build bridges among different communities as well. As future leaders in the field of environmental science, politics, economics, business, biology, environmental science, as I said, we must start practicing the language of solidarity now. The second scenario which happened here at the Mount was I was heading back from my China in India class, my business class, back to my apartment. As I was walking back to my apartment, I saw Deborah. I forgot the last name. I saw Deborah, and then you know, I talked to her, and since she learning Spanish as well, I said hello to Deborah in Spanish, and she replied back to me in French. I was like, oh, okay, that's talking those languages then. And Deborah is also learning Italian, so she gave me a couple of words in Italian as well, and I don't know any Italian, so I continued to learn what she was telling me. As her and I were talking, there is Felipe. Felipe also speaks Portuguese. So he has been teaching me a couple of words. So he happened to pass by. I also greeted him in Portuguese. He greeted me in Portuguese back. At the same time, there was Sarah Deans, who is my personal, she gave me like some lessons in German. So she passed by as well. So I said the kids to her again, as good, and you know, we conversed a little bit. So within about 6 students, we almost went to 6 continents and so on. We spoke those different languages. And even though Sarah didn't know Felipe that well, even though Felipe didn't know Deborah that well, because we're speaking different languages and so on, there seems to be a connection among all of us. And that's what I call the language of solidarity. It's a sign for harmony and a gate to progress as well. If we do apply the language of solidarity, my peers, I'm saying that if you speak one language right now, learn another one. Make it a challenge, you know? And if you speak 2 languages, learn a 3rd one. Now, for some of us which are gifted, you know, in speaking 3 or more languages, your task is to learn more languages and to encourage other people and to conversate with other people to let them practice their languages as well. So that's my call to action from me to you. If we apply the language of solidarity, male students can learn more about their world and be better prepared professionally as we all solve the global issues. If we apply the language of solidarity, the St. Mary's community and other colleges around the United States will be able to welcome more students and increase their diversity, not only in terms of nationality, but also in terms of solutions as well. The United States can then better understand other cultures if we apply the language of solidarity. If we apply the language of solidarity, the United States will be able to provide more efficient and humanitarian aid to other people and understand their plight. If we apply the language of solidarity, the world can move forward and advance to see days when fewer children every day are dying from hunger. See days when fewer mothers are losing their babies at childbirth. The world can then see days when literacy rates increase and educational opportunities become more available for more people. If we do apply the language of solidarity, the world, I assure you, will be able to see days when the entire global community is brought together to make global decisions. And lastly, if we apply the language of solidarity, we can see days when the children of Mother Earth are united to save our planet. Your voice, your choice, your world. Thank you.